once. Oh, and if I could, real quick too, if I could, with all of this being said, understand this. So this is a teacher. And do not ever call the book of Ecclesiasticus Sirach. Don't ever call it that. Yeah, do not call it the book of Sirach. It is Ecclesiasticus. Go ahead. Not just listen to them. If you open certain apocryphas, it'll say Sirach in it. Yeah. So it's printed. Yeah, it's printed. Say that again, Yanazar. Please say it on the mic.
He was the one that began to translate it from the Hebrew.
Right. That's all he did.
That's all he did.
All he did was translate it. And I know what some of you are thinking. Well, King James, he translated. The difference is that King James compiled the scriptures. He brought it all together and hired a bunch of people to do what? To translate it into the English language. Go ahead.
Sir. He
Please.
authorized it.
Yeah, he authorized the translation, the compiling of the scriptures into one thing that is translated into the tongue that we all use to this day. You ever think about that? We speak English right now. King James spoke English. Now his version of English was a tiny bit different. It wasn't old English. I know, Yanazar, I always say that. Yeah, it was Quaker English. You got to be careful because if you say old English, you ever read something in old English? Just go find a copy. You can Google it because I think it's like the oldest surviving English piece of literature. Beowulf. Remember that? Yep. Remember Beowulf? Remember that movie? Yep. That movie is based upon a poem that was basically not printed. What's the word? Published in like 13 something. No, I'm tripping. It's before that. It's in like the 1100s. It's like the oldest. It's like the oldest intact piece of literature in the English language, and it's from like the 1100s. If you try to, I'm not going to tell you try to read it because you can't read it. I can't read it. No one can read it unless they've studied Old English. It's written. It's like this is when English was damn near German. Damn near. Then you had a period. You know what I'm saying? No sweat. Right, it sounds like that. Then you had a period of Middle English, from the 1300s or like the late 1200s or the 13th century up to the 16th century, and then by the time Shakespeare comes along, now that is what we call modern English. So you have people slogging through their English classes in high school because Shakespeare said thus and thee. And they are like, oh my God, I can't even read this. Technically, that's modern English. In the scope of history, Shakespeare spoke the same English that we speak, excuse me. So keep that in mind. Like, bringing it right back home. And King James. And that's why, oh my God, you ever heard that one? People try to say, oh, Shakespeare wrote the Bible. You ever heard that? Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, fake Israelites will tell you Shakespeare really wrote the Bible. You gotta be kidding me.
No, they say his name, like there's a way that you can read.
No, I've heard it.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I've heard it. It's a joke. It's a damn joke. Shakespeare had nothing to do with nothing. You know what I mean? And Shakespeare was a black man, by the way. That's right. Shakespeare was a black man, but I ain't gonna give him credit. He didn't have nothing to do with the Bible. You know what I'm saying? What the heck are we gonna use Shakespeare for? I don't even know if he even spoke any other languages let alone be a Hebrew or a Greek scholar. Because you write some nice poetry? Nah, hell no. That's ridiculous. No, just matter of fact, I don't have it with me right now. Con, yeah. I've seen it. There's apocryphas that say Sirach. They don't say Ecclesiasticus. Okay, Mike Shaw. Prologue of the wisdom of Jesus, the son of Sirach. That's what they say. Oh, okay, so that's wrong. Okay, that's 3 generations of See, so what the problem is, Sirach is a person. Jesus is a person. They didn't write it. They translated it. It would be like this. We read the King James Version Bible, but we don't read the book of King James. You feel me? We don't read the that's all. That's Jesus. So he's my son, Joshua or Yahweh. You're his son. I started it, he continued it, you finished it. That's how That's it. But you would never attribute it as if you wrote it or your grandfather wrote it. That would be crazy. Again, it would be like having a book of King James. There is no book of King James because he didn't write any of it. None of his scholars wrote any of it. All they did was translate it. Yanazar, tell him again what happened with Sirach and all of them.
Sirach, all that occurred, it was that the original translation beginning was a man by the name of Sirach, who did not complete the job. He passed it on to his son, whose name was Jesus, who passed it on to his son, who completed it, whose name was Jesus or Yahweh or Joshua.
It's like they did work, but they did not write it. So if you say the book of such and such, the implication is that this person either wrote it or is heavily involved in it. Even the book of Esther, right? Esther didn't write the book of Esther, but she's in there. Sirach ain't in Ecclesiasticus. His Jesus or Yahweh or Joshua ain't in there. They just did the work of translating.
Sir, if I may, sir, like this is an excellent example of a fake Israelite group doctrine changes. You know what I'm saying? It really is.
No, the what? That's a fact.